Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. A little chilly this morning, and it has been for the last couple of days, getting into the fall kind of temperatures, but obviously you all know what we're going to be talking about today, because I suspect that every single one of you have been keeping pretty close tabs on what is going on in Israel over the last 24 to 36 hours. Not going to go into a lot of specifics of kind of up-to-date things, what's going on there, because it's happening so quickly. It's by the time you watch this, whatever intel I've given you of up-to-date movements and events is probably going to be old news. The last I saw that they estimate at least 600 Israelis have been killed. Maybe a few thousand still missing or injured. A lot's happened, right? Israel got caught, well, as some have said, with their pants down, which is very unusual. Who knows why that has happened? Israel has always been known for their top-of-the-line intelligence gathering capabilities and always being at the ready. And this time it seems like they weren't. It's quite possible that there was some type of inside thing working. I'm not wanting to spread some rumors that aren't true, but when you start to see information coming out that it's possible that the Iron Dome was down for a while when this all started, and a few other things, it starts to make a person wonder, did they really just get caught off guard, or was there someone on the inside helping this event, this attack, move through pretty quickly? It is horrific. There are some extremely graphic images coming out online over the last 24 hours, and I'm sure many of you have seen some of those. And if you haven't, don't worry, you haven't missed anything. They're very graphic. It is horrible what's happening. It is awful. And from Americans' perspective, that's just what it is. It's a horrific event. There are other things at play here that I don't plan on going into in this video. I do have a point to this video. It's not just a talk about this, so just stick with me. You know, we had Biden administration giving $6 or $8 billion to Iran just a few weeks ago, and just a couple of days ago, the Biden administration authorized 75 million of that to be sent to the Palestinians. So there's that. Now, of course, we could go into lengthy details of just the relationships between Israel and Palestine, and I'm sure all of you find yourself on one side of the aisle or the other when it comes to those opinions. But the fact is that there's been ongoing conflict between these two people for a very long time, and I'm not saying it all. Please do not misinterpret that I'm saying that maybe what has happened is deserved, because it's not. It never could be deserved. But there's definitely two sides to the coin, and it seems as though as the Palestinians in Gaza has definitely at least initiated kind of a one-up. Now, we apparently are seeing that Israel and Palestine now are in official state of war. Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, declared it, and then I saw this morning that the Congress there in Israel voted to declare war on Gaza. And so once again, we have another official war going on in the world. What my question from a military standpoint is, what is Palestine's objective here? I mean, so they make this very quick in run to do all this destruction, but they have to know that Israel has some pretty substantial military capabilities, is going to strike back hard. Is there plans to continue this any further? What's their plan now that Israel is now awakened? They've awakened the giant, the lion, and it's coming after them. Do they have the capabilities of dragging this out even further once Israel starts bringing in the missiles, the bombs, the planes, and which they already are? Who knows? The point that I had originally meant for this video is to not go on this rant about what's actually happening with the conflict. It's awful. It's horrible, and any loss of life is always bad, especially when it's civilian loss of life, and that's what it seems to be. The vast majority of us is that these are civilians. They're not military personnel. There's women, children, and elderly that's been involved in a lot of the killing and the kidnapping, and there's in my opinion, there's no way to justify that. Even if you sympathize with the Palestinians, there's still no way to justify this level of loss of life and casualty. But what about here at home? I have seen, since this has been going on for the last couple of days, last day or so, that a lot of people speculate that this very same thing could happen, or at least similar enough, here in the United States. That there are sleeper cells that have ties to a lot of Islamic groups in the Middle East. And then, of course, we just have a lot of people that are coming across the border illegally by the millions. And so what are your plans, and have you really thought it out if something like this were to happen here in the United States? Maybe widespread, or maybe just in a small area regionally. But to see militant people, regardless of what their ethnicity is, where they've come from, start to do this type of stuff here in the United States, I think personally it's a very good likelihood at some point. I'm not saying right now, but a good likelihood. New York has put their police on standby. They're kind of on a heightened sense of standby. So has most of Europe, because of what's going on in Israel with Hamas and their supporters in places like Israel and Europe. And so they're watching that kind of stuff. In Canada, there was a lot of Palestinian supporters out cheering and celebratory, partying because of what happened. So there's definitely sympathizers all over. But like I said, it doesn't even have to be sympathizers to the Palestinians. It could just be people that are here with the intent of bringing us down. We need to be prepared for this, okay? If you're a part of some kind of tribe, a mag, or community, this should be one of your high priorities of preparing your group for this kind of event happening, to prepare in how to react quickly and appropriately, because as seen in Israel, a lot of damage and destruction could be done by the time the police or the military finally kind of gather themselves and start to, push back against it. It seemed to be several hours before the local police and military there in Israel were actually able to start reacting against it. So depending on where you're at, and if you were close to all this, it could be hours here too. Before people, in law enforcement, National Guard scrambled enough to start fighting back. That means you're on your own. It means you're on your own to this type of behavior. And I don't think it's too far-fetched to think that this kind of thing, something similar, could happen due to all the illegals pouring across the border. We need to be prepared for that. I would encourage you as individuals and as the groups listening to try to start formulating plans, and then react and act out those plans. Do some drills of how it will work. And I can't give you all the answers right now because I don't know your situation, but do you have people, basically everyone in your group, that are intel gatherers and that they know how to spot things and have been trained to identify threats in the area that could be something similar to this? And then how do you communicate those threats to the group? How do you get information out quickly? And then once that's done, what is your point and your plan there is to react? Do you all gather in a certain area? Do you go on some type of heightened alert? What is the continued communication between your group? These kinds of things need to be worked out, because what we're seeing happen in Israel, as I said, could very easily happen here in the United States at some point. We're also probably going to see things escalate. It's quite possible another major war like the Yom Kippur War back in, I believe it was 73. A lot of things happened after that. Oil prices skyrocketed after that. Gold prices skyrocketed. The US dollar became more dominant. A lot of things could happen, but maybe not exactly like that. I suspect oil prices are going to skyrocket this week. They came down the last few days, came down out of the $90 a barrel range, but I suspect they're probably going to start going up quickly. The United States has virtually nothing in its strategic petroleum reserves, so if anything were to happen in Israel or anywhere else that they needed that, there's just not enough there. We could watch this also bring in the de-dollarization of the U.S. dollar somehow, some way, because already battle lines are being drawn across the world where various nations are siding with one side or the other. And of course, that's just going to play into all of the global conflict going on. The United States and much of Europe is running out of weapons. Apparently, the rumor is that we're going to drop $8 billion into Israel's coffers so that they can get the weapons they need to defend themselves against these attacks. It looks like Lebanon has already started to shell areas in northern Israel, and several other Middle Eastern countries are indicating that they might somehow become involved in this, and they're at least giving their verbal support to Palestine. So we're watching a lot of things happen very, very, very rapidly. Some people might say this almost looks biblical also. But the point that I'm trying to get across this morning is that these quick, violent, catastrophic things could also happen here in the United States. There's millions, literal millions of illegals in this country. And we don't know how many of them have ties to any type of terrorist groups, how many of them could be involved in some type of sleeper cells here in the United States, or ties directly to foreign national countries that are enemies to to our state. So we have to get prepared in those ways. This kind of stuff is very likely, I think, to happen, and we need to be prepared for it. Also, certainly remember those in prayer that are over there. I mean, I actually have personal friends that in this moment are in Israel. They had gone on a trip to Israel, of course, chose the wrong time to go, and they are currently in Israel. The last I heard, they're not anywhere near the violence, but still, if this expands and goes full-scale war, who knows what could happen to them. But there are just innocent people, the people that's already become victims to this, their families, regardless of their politics or their religion, they're still hurting because of what's happened. So always remember that, and especially when you're giving out your political position, always remember that there are innocent people that's involved in all of this and their families. So remember them in prayer. This is wrong. I think both sides bear some burden to this, but certainly what's going on is wrong. And I suspect we're going to see some pretty serious repercussions to this. Israel is known for very harsh retaliatory measures. And so I think that we might still have quite a bit to see in the coming days. We need to be getting our houses in order, getting our areas in order, and be preparing for this kind of stuff. I would highly suggest you fill up your gas tanks and go out, and if you are able to, buy some ammunition, because who knows what may happen over the coming days and weeks and what this could eventually lead to. Get your houses in order, prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.